Good morning. There's a bunch of German Shepherds over there. There's 3 German Shepherds, a Great Pyrenees, and a Lab. So look at them go. Zoom, zoom, zoom. All off leash at the park. Nice. But they're having fun. Couldn't go through the park today, so that's kind of disappointing. But there's always good with bad, and the good is I get to watch the sun come up over the golf course. That was nice. I love watching the sun come up over the golf course. It's beautiful. Oh no, you docs where you're at. Yeah, well, come find me. Anyway, my wife and I went to Broderick's last night. It's like a pizza and burger joint. I really wanted hamburger. I was just in a hamburger mood. And normally my go-to hamburger is Carl's Jr. I think they call them Hardee's out east. Anyway, that's normally my go-to fast food burger, but I didn't want a fast food burger. I wanted like a burger joint burger. And I always say, oh, let's go to Broderick's. There's one downtown and there's one midtown. And I'm like, that's terrible. I don't want to go all the way downtown or midtown for a burger. And so I Googled it, and there was one in Roseville. I'm like, well, there's one in Roseville. She's like, oh, there's one in Carmichael. And I was like, why would you want to go to the one in Carmichael? Well, it's in this little, like, food mall. She didn't say this. I'm interpreting wifey's. It's in a food mall that she likes to go to. They have this, what do they call them? Poke bowls, where it's basically like sushi in a bowl that she loves. I love sushi, but I don't like poke bowls because, I don't know, I want to say they're called poke bowls. There's something in the way they make them. I think they use like a sesame oil or something, but not a fan. Love sushi, hate poke bowls. Anyway, so they have, she loves this, for whatever reason, loves this food mall. It's like a giant cafeteria, and there's the different restaurants in it, but they don't have like walls separating them from each other. So like if you want, like she's taken me there a couple times, I have endured it. Like I'll go get like a burrito or something, and we'll sit together and she'll eat her poke bowl and I'll eat my burrito, and I won't have to eat a poke bowl and she'll be happy that she gets to eat a poke bowl. And that's the way relationships work best. So I made my little hints that I would much rather go to the one in Roseville than the one in Carmichael, because I have found, being a lawyer, I've gone out to lunches and things quite a bit, and I have my experience with eating out has definitely increased. And there is more to the experience of eating out than sitting there at your table pushing food down your gullet. There's the ambiance, there is the wait staff, there are your fellow diners who can add to or detract from your experience. And there are just certain zones where certain people go that I really don't appreciate. This is going to sound terribly elitist, but hey, you want a couch? Do you want a couch? There's a sectional, there's stuff on it. Yeah, good stuff, good times. Welcome to my hood. It's like if you go out to eat downtown Sacramento, there are lovely restaurants, and you go inside and you're cocooned away and you're in just the right district. Well, you'll still see bums going by, but you don't have to smell them or interact with them. And inside, it is a lovely clientele of smiling, happy people who are put together with lovely, smiling, happy wait staff, and everything is nice and wonderful in the world. You go into that mid-range, and there are some nice restaurants in there, to be true. But then you go into one of those mid-zones. Like, I mean, just go ahead and Google Broderick's in, was it Citrusite? Carmichael. Google Broderick's in Carmichael. And just take a look at the street view around it. And then you can explain to yourself why I would not want to go there for a lovely dining experience in a cafeteria style setting where you get to interact in a noisy environment full of less than polite people. And typically less than polite people produce a less than polite wait staff. You know, you have to deal with annoying, irritating people, and in general, are you gonna poop? Oh, you're going in the pocket. He's pooping. Enjoy the pocket. Enjoy the poop. Everybody, just think about this. You're close to my balls. Oh my God, he's double pooping? What the hell's going on here? Alright, everybody, you're about out of my pocket. 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes. You'll be done. You'll be out of my pocket. Alright, I think we're good. I hope we're good. Alright, we have achieved poopdom, and it was a double pooper, and you guys got to spend a minute or two right next to my balls. So, I hope you enjoyed it. This was filmed with Aroma Vision, and any squishy noises you heard were my balls. Yes, but the clientele, yeah, it's going to produce a wait staff that's less than happy, less than awesome. And, yeah, and I mentioned to my wife twice on the way there. I'm like, I think we should probably be going to Roseville instead. But you know, you don't want to push it very far because that's your wife and you love her. And you definitely don't want to make her mad. So we get there, and there's a bewildered looking young man running the front desk. He doesn't smile. He doesn't acknowledge us. I crack a joke. He looks at me bewildered and scared. I crack another joke because he's looking bewildered and scared. He's like, I'll be right with you. I'm like, okay, cool. You know, whatever. It's fine. And then he trots off and he comes back. He's like, oh, we're full right now, so take your name and your number, and I'll give you a call just as soon as we have some room. I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. And I gave him my name and my number. So because this is cafeteria style city, we go out into the little common area that's outside. I like to sit outside. And I'm sitting there and I'm talking with my wife and I'm watching him, and people come up and he seats them. More people come up and he seats them. More people come up and he seats them. And I said to my wife, I'm like, this is really weird. He's seating all these people. This is so weird. Like, well, maybe they have appointments. And I said, well, he didn't ask us if we had an appointment or a reservation or whatever you want to call it. So I go in there, I'm like, hey, you know, what's up with this? And stupid starts falling out. So I asked for the manager. I get this short, tubby, bald guy in a t-shirt roll up to me. Yeah, I've been sitting for 15 minutes watching other people get seated. He's like, well, what if we just went ahead and seated you now? Wrong answer. I mean, that's just terrible customer service. You don't, you know what I mean? Like, oh, that'll totally solve the problem. That will of course soothe any upset that I have. No. So now they're getting bad press because, you know, that's what I do. If you give me poor service, I am going to make it known. So I know I don't have a lot of people in the area who watch me, but if you do, Broderick's in Carmichael is a terrible establishment run by a terrible person, and they don't treat their customers well, or their people who wanted to be their customers. So anyway, my wife and I were in agreement then that the Roseville Broderick's would be a much better solution to the situation. It's amazing how hindsight's 2020. And so we rolled up to Roseville, and we were greeted by lovely, smiling young ladies who asked us how we were doing and showed us to our little table. And we had a bright and shining young man come by and apologize for taking so long, even though he hadn't taken long, and he got us our drink super quick, and we had some delicious food. Their burgers are really good, so I am definitely recommending Broderick's in Roseville. Their burgers were great, and their fries were good. But you know, fries are a very personal thing. Everybody has a different taste in fries, but I really like their fries. My wife got one of their dirty fries of some sort. I don't know exactly what it was, but she loved it. And yeah, it was a very great experience. I dropped $70 total. That was including the tip. It's like $55-ish. So not bad. It was a good day at Broderick's in Roseville. Highly recommend them. Well, at least their burgers. Their burgers were amazing. The pizza I haven't had from them. It might be good, it might not. But they seem to be doing a pretty brisk trade, so I'm sure their food is pretty good, all in all. So there was your 12-minute infomercial about Broderick's. Mr. Freeman put out a video where he is completely upset that one of his friends got a ticket for window tint. Oh, the humanity! Here's a hint. Don't put window tint on that violates state law. Well, but the police do it. Yeah, well, the police set the standards for it, and the police can set the standards for it that don't, or that make exceptions for police cruisers. If you look in the standards for window tint on vehicles in Texas, is in the Texas Administrative Code. It's in the Texas Department of Safety section. It was promulgated by the Texas Department of Public Safety and not by the statute, or not by the legislatures. So there you go. And there are reasons why they don't want your car to be tinted, because they want to be able to see into it to make sure that you're not doing anything furtive. Is that a good enough reason? I don't know. I don't particularly think it is, but your mileage may vary. I'm sure if I was a police officer, I would want to look into somebody's windows to make sure they weren't pulling a gun or something. But by the same token, I'm not a police officer, and I don't really care if somebody has really dark window tint. So that's my ambivalence over the situation. But one thing I noticed, there's two things actually that I noticed. Number one is he pointed out that, and I don't know if this is true, but assuming arguendo that this is true, he pointed out that the Texas legislature has passed bills that are going to require the Supreme Court and the Texas Court of Appeals to have audio and video recording. Now, they probably already had audio recording. That's how they would get their transcripts. Adding video recording doesn't mean you're going to get to access it. And everything is going to come under whether or not the court thinks it's appropriate for you to be able to see it, for it to be disseminated. But there's a difference between having a camera mounted Mr. Freeman and having some red bearded asshat in there waving a camera around, causing a commotion, trying to ask clarifying questions like a douche. There's a world of difference between those two things. And I know you refuse to see the difference, but that's because it doesn't mesh with your particular worldview. The other thing is that Mr. Freeman has found himself in the awkward position where he has to add narrative to his videos. He has to tell you how to interpret it in order for it to say what he wants it to say. Oh, before the video started rolling, somebody was an ass. Oh, really? Well, I'm sure that before the video started rolling, you entirely weren't an ass. We don't have video, so we're going to rely on a known liar for his interpretation of what happened. A propagandist and a liar. There's dog poop on the ground. That's phenomenal. I hate people. It's not the dog's fault, obviously, it's the human's fault. I hate people. Anyway. He stops his video every once in a while to throw in little tidbits, little things. He throws writing up on it in a very News Now Houston style, telling you what to think and how to feel about it. It's pretty disingenuous, if you ask me. And it still boils down to the same things. I don't understand. I feel like it should be this way, therefore it should be this way, therefore you're wrong. What are they hiding? Well, everything in that courtroom is being recorded. If you see a microphone in the courtroom, here's your hint, it's being recorded. We don't have access to it. Well, okay. Your point? Well, my friends want to have their own recordings of their cases. Why? Why? In what way would that be admissible as evidence? In what way? How would you use that? And for what ends? Other than your stupid propaganda. Oh my God, did you see the judge overruled his objection? I don't understand the Texas rules of evidence, but it seems totally mean that he's overruling all of my objections, and he's not really overruling the objections of the trained and qualified and licensed practicing attorney with tons of experience in the field. Isn't that strange? He must be doing it because he hates Bow. He doesn't understand. James doesn't understand what's going on. He's upset at what's going on. He wants things to be different because he thinks he knows why things are and why they should be, and he thinks that the government is entirely corrupt. And then he wonders why, I'm rambling at this point, but then he wonders why the jury was so hard on Bow. But in this last video, he's like, oh, we need everybody to ask for jury trials. That'll totally solve everything. Let's take just a quick overview, just a layman's overview. I am not a economist. I don't know all of the ramifications that this would have, but here's a start. Number one, it's going to cost money to put in more parking for all these jurors who you're going to have for all the traffic infractions. So the state is going to have to grow to buy more land and build more parking structures. That's step number one. Step number two, the state's going to have to grow to build more courts, more courtrooms. Jury trials take longer than bench trials do, especially for things like traffic tickets. It's a longer, more arduous process. So you're going to increase the size of the state. People, at least in California, people on jury duty get paid, and it's a nominal sum, but when you add it up for the numbers of people it would take to have a jury trial for traffic infractions and things like that, for every single one of them, you're going to start talking about some money. You know, Oh boy, here we go. Every drop of water is just a drop of water. But at some point, if you have enough drops of water, you build an ocean. You're gonna have to increase the size of your jury pools. People are going to be put on juries much, much, much more often, and nobody likes to do juries. And if you think that the solution to that, James Dum Dum Freeman, is that the state's gonna suddenly stop enforcing traffic laws and things like that, then you're being retarded. If it becomes a problem, the state will still enforce them. Texas will just amend its constitution or whatever. You're going to get enough people pissed off at it, and they're not going to be pissed off at the cops for writing tickets. They're going to be pissed off that they have to show up to be jurors. You're going to get the constitution changed. So, I mean, if your whole goal is to strip that protection out or reduce that protection in Texas, then that's the right way to do it, is have everybody every single time opt for a jury trial and jury sentencing. But you saw how well that worked out for Bao. Believe it or not, most people can understand the way laws work and the reasons behind it. Most people understand that the laws against speeding are because speeding tends to lead to accidents, and accidents tend to lead to property damage and loss of lives and injuries and things like that. Everybody was all butthurt over the Leon Valley cameras. They added a red light camera. It's just to generate revenue. Well, I was reading through the Brett Abel documents one time, and from April, I want to say it was from April, Salvaggio pointed out a study about the number of accidents that had happened at that corner because people were blowing the red light. And he said that like 6 months, I think, after they installed the camera, they were going to look to see if it had reduced the number of accidents at that corner. April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. So October, I'm sorry. So maybe end of October, if I remember correctly, or beginning of November-ish, that should be available. So if I remember, I'm going to try to get that to see if there was actually a reason for the red light camera, and if it did have an impact on accidents. But yeah, James doesn't like rules, and most people do. And James doesn't understand that when he says things that they're doing things without consent of the governed, he thinks, well, it's without the consent of me. But the governed is the group, society as a whole. And society as a whole doesn't like you, James. And they don't like your ideas, which is why you're having to resort to propaganda to try to get what you want, and which is why your group is limited in the amount of people you're ever going to have in it. So anyway, thanks for watching. Have a great day.